The delegation of the textile exporters also met Prime Minister before the budget in presence of the finance minister, and they expressed their serious concern. The number one issue is the government in the last budget has removed textile sector and other exporter from the fixed tax regime. Now, fixed tax regime was that you pay just 1% of the total export proceeds, and then this is your final discharge of liability. Means you will not have to go to the normal tax regime for assessment and all. And that was very happy it's been going on. But with IMF program, IMF has categorically said that all the sectors, whether agriculture or in manufacturing or service sector, there should be uniform tax system, and that should be a regular tax system. They have to file the income tax return, and there should be an assessment, and there should be profit on. There should be tax on profit. Now, they made some mistake also, because before they used to take 1%, now they brought the textile and other exporters into out of fixed tax regime, and at the same time there was also charging 1%, advance tax or minimum tax from the exporter, and this was an anomaly. It was raised to the Prime Minister, and most likely there will be some decision on this issue where 1%, this they call it tax on tax. It's a duplication, because if you bring them in a normal tax regime, then there is no point you are charging them again 1% on the export proceed. So this was one thing. Then power tariff was the real issue. We're still paying 15, 16 cents power tariff, whereas our competitor Bangladesh, Vietnam, and even China, India, they range 8 cents, 9 cents, nothing more. So it was demanded that we should be provided level playing field, and we should be also offered 8% per kilowatt power tariff. The third thing was the gas tariff. Gas tariff, they have increases very, very much, because they wanted the captive power generating unit to be closed and industries to shift over to the national grid. Now, national grid is expensive. National grid is 25, 28, 27 rupees per kilowatt. So all these things making your costs uncompetitive. The other important thing which was raised was markup. The state bank policy rate has been increased to 11.5%. And when you keep 2% cushion minimum, you're talking about 13.5% or 13%, 14%, depending on the client. Now, this makes your financial cost very high, non-affordable. So the exporter said the power tariff, the gas tariff, the markup, these three things, and then the rationalizations of the tax system, and also they demanded withdrawal of the super tax. They said super tax is a tax on a tax, and when we're paying tax, then there should not be any other tax whereby you charge after 50 crore rupees of profit super tax. And that's nowhere in the world. Now, the exporters gave Prime Minister's statistic and data that the corporate sector is charged now 58% of total taxes. 58. And then when you talk about salary class, it's 40%. So they said this is nowhere in the world. So they said the corporate sector, is losing their interest. They are not doing business to give more than half to the government. They're doing business to pay return to the investors and to have it by themselves. But our taxes are very, very high. I think the highest in the region. and which is discouraging new investors. Most of the new investors, they wanted to come invest in Pakistan, but they are reluctant because of the higher tax. And higher taxes are on no equitable basis because uh, there are some sectors which are not paying anything, like agriculture sector. Their contribution to the national economy is 22%, and they're paying tax 1%. Whereas industry, their contribution to the national economy is again 22%, and they are charged 68%. So this unequal tax rate, if agriculture is contributing 22%, they should at least contribute, I think, 14, 15% tax, not 1%. And industry is overburdened. That's why they cry. They said we are not doing this investment and we are not operating this industry for government to pay. Corporate sector is paying 58 to 60%. This is nowhere in the world. So these were the issues. Those were discussed with the Prime Minister in presence of Finance Minister and Commerce Minister. They were assured that they are bringing reforms in the energy sector. They are bringing agriculture sector into TaxNet. They are also talking about the real estate sector to bring in TaxNet. But one sector which is a very, very important sector, and for the first time, serious efforts have been made by Bilal Kiani, the Minister for State for Finance, to bring retailer sector under a fixed tax regime, to pay about 20,000, and then there is a system whereby these guys can be bringing a tax net, but retailers so far been out of tax net. Retailer, the big markets, Zainab market, Liberty market, and they are hardly paying any taxes. So this is called unequal collection of the taxes. Our policies are more revenue collective policies, not revenue generative policies. You should bring policies whereby revenue to generate and then you can collect. No issue. But you're squeezing the neck, and then end of the result, the company is either closing down, or they use different tactics whereby come under non-FIRA regime and they are out of the clutches. So I strongly recommend government that your new budget should control expenditures. Austerity measures has not given any tangible result to the government. Even now, when they're doing austerity measures, and I still see vehicles bumper to bumper, on the roads. So what austerity measures we have taken? Austerity measures, if you have 5 cars, you have 2 cars on the road and 3 cars are parked because people are moving together, they're sharing each other. So according to me, the government has not been able to control expenditures. Their expenditure is the same. Still, they have 6 or 7 ministries the federal government is keeping with them. Instead, to transfer to the provinces, to the provincial governments, and our pension network is going out of proportion. It can bloom and bust anytime. Agriculture, real estate, and circular debt. And SOEs, the privatization of the loss-making organization, is still not done. They are still making huge losses, a real burden on the national exchequer. So all these things, I think they required fiscal discipline. And with all respect, I must admit and acknowledge that I don't see fiscal discipline. They're doing ad hoc measures, making decisions on a hit and trial basis. There's no roadmap and there is no consistent policies. And these are all, to me, serious drawbacks. See, export led growth, everyone says that our growth should be export led growth, but it's not happening. Our export is 31 to 32 billion dollars stagnant. It's not, moving anything beyond 32 billion dollars. Why? Number one, the main issue is the energy cost. The second issue is the higher taxes. The third issue is the higher gas prices. Fourth issue is the higher bank markup. Our discount rate, instead of people reducing, they've enhanced it towards tighter monetary policy, but it's affecting your financial cost. It's making your financial cost not affordable. Now, all these things, how you expect, agriculture, our raw material cotton, we used to grow 13 million bales. This season we have grown less than 6 million bales, less than a half. So now you have to import, you have to rely on import. Why people are not cultivating cotton? Because they're cultivating sugar. And it is sometimes pressure of the politician on those poor people, because if there's more sugar cane, they will be paying lesser price of the sugar cane for their sugar manufacturing. So there's many multiple factors which need to be addressed if you really want textile sector or your exports to grow. And raising taxes is not going to help your industry. You should cut the expenditures. And cutting expenditures, I don't see any good intention of the government to cut the expenditures in a real sense. Sometimes they order one helicopter, sometimes they order one jet, 11 billion rupees. All these things are very indicative and very expressive that the government is just talking cosmetic and they don't mean really to reduce the expenditure. On the other hand, they are all out to enhance the expenditures. So all these things should be taken very in a serious manner, and export-led growth is the only growth that will take us out of this mess. But you have to make your exporters competitive. You have to make the raw material availability possible, which is cotton. I give you an example that from 13 million bales, our production reduced to 6 million bales, which is even less than half. Now, trade with India is closed, so you cannot import cotton from India, and you are importing cotton from Central Asia, from Egypt, from USA, much higher rate, much higher freight, and logistics. So you cannot compete by importing cotton. You have, I established my textile industry because the availability of the raw material cotton was guaranteed to me. Now, if it is not guaranteed to me, it's me to import it from anywhere in the world at any price, then my industry has become unviable. It's not feasible anymore for textile sector because raw material availability is not guaranteed. So these are the all things which I think worth sharing and letting the policy makers seriously consider. Circular debt has reached 5,000, more than 5,000 rupees. 3,000 is gas, 2,000 is power. We have just taken loan from the banks, 18 banks, and paid up circular debt 1.2 trillion, 1,200 billion. But again, it is shoot up. So there is a serious issue. We have to plug the source from where circular debt is generating.